Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. As you know, I am putting together this 69 Cobra Jet that I rebuilt and painted, and I'm getting closer to the end of the process. Some of the things that have to happen, besides putting on lights and different accessories and whatever I can for the exterior of the car, is the stripe kit. Now, I have ordered a stripe kit from NPD, and in this video, at least I'm going to start with putting on the stripes on the Decklid and the quarter extensions. That's my focus right now. I'm not going to be able to do the others till later on the side of the car, but I want to take care of the back of it, at least at this point. So let me show you the kit and what my plans are. So here's part of the kit. This is the stripe stuff for the side of the car. And the reason I can't do all of it right now is I don't have the front fenders on. But I'm trying to finish up the back of the car and get it taken care of. At this point, I have the main sticker laid across the top of the Decklid and these pieces which go to the quarter extensions. Now, this kit was ordered from NPD. There's the part numbers on there, Ford licensed product, so you can see all that. And I have the original Decklid here. I also have some sticker on. Okay, use on any vinyl decal. So the idea is you prep this surface, and it says on that container to clean it with that first, and then we want to lay out your stripe where you want it. Put some, I'll use some tape to indicate where that's going to be, and then spray more of that sticker on in place, set your decal, and then squeegee it into place. Now, some of the things you need to know is like these corners up here. This sticker is longer. You can see it sticks out over the seam, and it sticks out over the seam here. So there's a difference. It's longer, so it's going to have to wrap around the end slightly. I have seen where other people have used a heat gun to help it curve around. I don't know that I'm going to do that or not, but I want to get that center section in and then place the outer pieces. And these are also a bit longer than what's available. So it's going to stick out or go inboard of this seam, okay? And at the bottom, these are a little bit long coming off the bottom corner. Now, one thing I will point out is with this original piece, and I can't verify what they did at the factory, you know, different plants. I don't know the numbers, but I do know that if I measure from the bottom edge of this Decklid, I'm basically at 3.5 inches. Now, I saw another video where somebody said it was 3 5/8, and it could be. I don't know. I'm just going by what this is right now. Now, you can also see some of the original paint is showing, and I am thinking, technically, it may have been a little bit lower than 3.5 inches, and just the sticker wore away. But 3.5 inches seems like a good number based on what I've seen online. Now, with that, you'll also notice this has the stripe isn't super wide, and on the new piece, it is quite wide. So I want to allow for that and make sure that I don't set this too high to where that sticker is up on top here, right? So I want to try to make sure I'm in this location. If I take the decal that I have and I put it there, line it up, you can see it's just below that curve. So I want to be cautious with that and make sure that it's not going to go too high. I don't know what the difference is, why they made some with this little stripe and this is made with the wider stripe, but it's what's available. You can also see that the original is narrower than this one. So I may even have to just come down a little bit based on where this center line is on that sticker or what's left of that decal. So just kind of playing with the ideas here. You can see the difference. If I set that up, that is a little bit high on the sequence. Now the other part of that is I may tape this up in place and verify these pieces are going to fit as well, because if you have everything in the wrong, you know, have the center one close to the right spot, but this doesn't have room to finish out, then you're in trouble. So you can see I'm just going to have to play with this. Now the other thing I'll point out, this kit, when you look at it, they did a good job of trimming this edge. It seems to follow the shape of this extension very well. So if I hold this up here and line up that top edge and slide this in a little bit, it looks like it lines up with the extension. So I may have to just tape everything up and get a look at it and then figure out where I want to be. So let me do that and then we'll assess it from there. All right, now that I have the stripes where I feel like they need to be, roughly, I mean there's some variation here. I got this in place and then I lined these up so that I could see where this edge would end up. And I can use that as a reference point now. And if I come off of the bottom edge of the Decklid right here, then that stripe actually comes out very close to 3 5/8. So initially I was looking at 3 1/2, which is what's on the original one. But this is closer to 3 5/8 as far as this bottom edge. And that allows room up here, and that will allow for this to flow around the edges like it needs to. So now that that's verified, I'm going to take this back off and I'll lay a tape so I can get an edge at 3 5/8 with my yellow tape, and that will give me a high point for this stripe, and then I can come back and work on those. And don't panic, there's cork on the back of this. Now the idea will be when I put this on, without this inner piece, that I can line that up right on that edge and follow it. So I'm following the instructions on the bottle, and I wiped that surface down, make sure there was nothing, on there, fingerprints or anything like that. And then I removed the backing from the decal or the sticker, and I re-wet the area that I want to work. Now, one thing I did learn is I should have re-wet or wet the sticker itself. Once you start setting this in place, it's going to want to stay. And had I wet both sides, it helps. I did this later on with some of the other pieces that I worked. So I'm just getting the edge of it on the edge of my tape. And the idea is that I can pull that tape out of the way once I have it set, and then press that down. Then it tells you to work from the center of the decal or sticker outboard. So that's what I do here. Then I decided to open a trunk so that I could roll the ends around. And that's what I'm doing here. I pushed the end around and I started to release the sticker from the backing material. And once I do that, I pull kind of against the sticker itself. I want to be at a harsh angle so that it doesn't want to pull away. You don't want to pull straight out. And then I rotated or pushed in the ends of the sticker and started wiping it down. I did have to work a few bubbles out here and there, and it's just, it's inherent whenever you're doing these. Now this is just a quickie sequence on the passenger side extension. As you can see, maybe you can see, I trimmed down the backing paper, and I'll show this in the other video a little bit more. I found that by removing as much of the backing paper as I could, then I could get it more centered on the lower section where it narrows down quite a bit. And again, I'm pulling away or abrupt angle from the sticker itself there with the backing material. and wiping it down and pressing down any bubbles or anything like that. Shut the deck lid and verified that it lined up. If it didn't, that's too late. Now here I am trimming down that backing material. I didn't get right on the edge of the decal, but I got pretty close. And the idea was that I could see where it ended up whenever I put it against the extension. Once you get it in place, or once I got it in place, I ended up, I had wiped that down previously, and then I re-wet that surface and wet the decal itself, and then just went up to it and lined it up with the sticker from the trunk lid. It just took a couple of tries to get it to feel right. I wanted it to relax as it was laying against the surface here, and then open the trunk lid and come back with the squeegee that they provide in the kit. Now, you could use different things, but this is convenient because it's what they give you. And again, pulling away from the decal or against how it sticks on there, and smoothing up the rest of it, wrapping it around, pressing the ends in, and making sure everything fits the way it should. Looks good. So I think that turned out really nice. Very happy with the alignment. And I've opened the trunk and closed it a couple times, and everything looks really good. Now, what I have done is taken all the other stripe pieces and laid them out on top of the car. I'm letting them kind of flatten out on their own. I don't know if I'm going to get to that in this video or not. I may be able to put on these back pieces, but I'm not ready to put the fronts on yet because, again, I need to get the fenders on, and I don't want to put the fenders on until I get the front cleaned up. So I think I'm going to put on the letters here in the back. Now, you probably saw in the video I showed where I'd taken the scissors and trimmed off the decal, or not the decal, but the backing that holds it. And what I wanted to do is try to get this as close to center as I could, and I think that worked out really well. This is, you're limited. You only have so much space to work with, so that turned out really nice. So what I'm going to do with the letters is I have this drill bit. This is a number 30 drill bit, basically a 1/8 drill bit. And if you remember, I had made these holes in the deck lid because this was a dynacorn panel. So I've already taken this and just pressed it through that opening. You need to do this ahead of time just to get any excess paint and clear coat out of the way. Sometimes you may have to press into this pretty hard. Other times it may just slide in easily. And you go through all of these holes to make sure they're taken care of. Or you could, if you wanted to, use the threaded end and your drill and go through each one of those. Now, what I normally do, if I'm using the drill, I'm worried about exposing metal. So I will make those openings the right size and then come back with a paintbrush and some self-edge primer and just brush the inside of each one of those holes, and that way it's got something to protect it. The next step is putting in the little metal barrels that go into each one of those, and I'll go through that process, and then we'll get the letters on the car. Now, as I said before, I took the drill bit and just pushed it through all of the holes, and I'm using this SEM self-etching primer. I just spray some into the cap and then use a little brush and just make sure that there's no bare metal in any of that. So I'm using this Scott Drake Mustang emblem kit, and these little barrels are hard to push into these holes. So what I'm doing here is just getting them started, and then I switch over to using a plastic screwdriver handle, and then I just gently push them in. And you can over stress these, but just they'll go in. And then using the letters that came in the kit, as I had demonstrated before, I had drilled all these holes before I ever did in this paint work, so everything should be indexed fine, and everything seemed to fit like it should. So now the letters are on the deck lid. Okay, I think I'm going to try to get the rear stripe on in this video. So I have the original quarter panel, and the stripe is there, and the stripe is there. Now this is what came on the car from the factory. So when you look at this, you'll see that it's a little bit different than the reproduction stuff. The shape is just a smidge off, and the design may be a little bit different because these has this white reflective tape in the center, and I believe that's also on this. But if you look at like these corners, they're round here. This is more squared off. This matches close to the width or the height, let's say, of this side marker light, and I'm sure this does too. I'm not sure about the distance from here to here, if it's consistent. I haven't measured that yet. What I want to point out though is you can see this original body line, and you can see that from here to here is different than from here to here. So I've done some pre-measuring, and basically if I come as close to the front as I can down to this corner, I can get about 2.5 inches, and this section here I think was 1.75 inches. So that's all I have to reference. You know, this is meant to be in line with that side marker light and then come up short on the radius here. So if I take this one and I set it above this and try to get it there, you can see a little bit of the shape difference. And of course this is going to show different because it'll change as I move it down and get closer to where it belongs. So what I want to do is mimic that tape location, or that distance there, and try to get this set. Now I may cut out this inner opening here because even though I don't have the light, I want to be able to see where I'm at, and it might be a little difficult with this backing material. So let's see what I can come up with, and I'll measure this out and get things in place. So what I found interesting, you know, using that 2.5, and I had this at 1.75 inches back here, coming off of, I went with the center line of the light opening, and I came down, measured basically off of the bottom here, 1.75 inches, and that put that a little bit high on that section. So I took the new decal and I cut out around that light so that I could get an eyeball and see what I'd end up with. So when I initially put it up here, and I'm gonna have to just line it up front to back, this section here, this didn't work because it was too high. The tape was actually in the way of where it would end up. So I think what I'm really gonna end up doing is eyeballing it off of these holes, fore and aft, and using these edges up and down, and then using this piece of tape I have up here at the front to kind of square it away. I don't know any other way to make it work because there can be variations in these quarter panels, as we all know. There can be variations in the sticker, all that sort of thing. So that's like all I have to go by at this point. And based off of this tape up front and using what I feel is the outline of the side marker light, I think it's where it's going to end up. As I demonstrated previously, I'm wiping this down to make sure there's no fingerprints or anything that may cause a problem. And then I peel the backing off of the decal. Comes off pretty easily. You just got to be careful you don't like twist anything or fold it back on itself. Wet down the quarter panel, wet down the decal. And you may have noticed there's a couple little bumps in the middle of that. And this could be a problem at some point with those little bumps. And what I mean is, when this is rolled up, it's best to take these out of the box and let them kind of relax and smooth out. Now, it's not going to hurt anything in this case because I've got it positioned. I'm pressing down where those humps are, but it could be a problem if you're not careful using the squeegee. You can almost fold the sticker over on itself. So here I'm just double checking that I'm in the right spot where I want it, and use the squeegee to press out the water or the soapy solution. You can use other things. I've seen people use like Dawn dishwashing liquid and water and mix them together, but I like to use something that's kind of designed for this purpose, and that's why I bought that sticker-on stuff or whatever it's called. So pull the rest of the sticker off, wipe it down really good, and hopefully everything turns out good with the rest of the stickers later. Okay, we now have the stripes on the side, and I am waiting on the side marker lights to come in. I tried to get as accurate as I could fore and aft with these edges, and also use the screw holes as my center line for the white part. And it looks like it worked out really well. I did the 2.5 inch at the front. I've already talked about this section, of course, and you know that I put the letters all on the car. And on this side, I did the same thing. Again, I tried to position it as best I could based on the white stripe on the center of the screw holes. So I'm going to wait on the rest of it. Now, the reason I'm going to wait is, as I said earlier, I'm going to have to clean up the engine bay and just make sure everything's ready to go so I can put the fender on. I don't feel like I need to start putting the stripes on the side on the quarter and the door until the fender's in place. So I'm going to take care of that and move on from there. I think the car is looking pretty good, and I hope you're enjoying these videos. Now, I'm trying to work on a video that will be a time lapse of the whole sequence of this car, from the day that I started on it until I get it to the point where it's going to roll out of here. I want to emphasize, I'm not finishing this car. I've said it before, I'm not doing the interior, their engine or wiring or plumbing, any of that stuff. My goal was to get the body in paint after I built it, and that's what I've done. So very happy with how it's coming along. I have, as I said, the other stripes laying on top. I'm going to maybe put them somewhere else for now, just to get them, on a flat surface and keep them opened up. And then, of course, I have to black out the hood and the cowl panel, and there's still a lot to do, but I'm making steps, baby steps, trying to get it to completion. So thanks for watching. I want to thank my patrons for supporting me. There are links in the description below for everything that I have, Patreon, Amazon, a tip jar. If you like the stuff you're seeing and you're not part of Patreon, you can put a tip jar or a tip in the jar down below, and that helps me out as well. So otherwise, that'll be it. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.